There we are, we're in.
Okay, so we're here to talk about optional module of Games Prototyping 3 in final year.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions so students have a better idea about what to expect from the module.
Good idea.
So can you start off by describing the module in one sentence?
That's a challenge. Making a prototype solution that is very specific, hopefully complicated, generally without programming. So staying within the blueprints. Potentially, though, there is the option to go into Unity and programming if they wished. Was that one sentence?
Okay, near enough.
A long sentence.
So who is it for?
I think it's for the more tech-focused designers. So we've got our designers who are very much on the art side, characters and environments and things like that. And I think we've got our designers who come up with great ideas. But there's another group of students who are tech artists or tech-focused who might want to build a plugin. They might want to build something interesting. I'll just switch over to that one. Something interesting for other people to use, a networking solution, a particle solution, or something like that. So I think if you're interested more in what blueprints can do than art, then I think that's when it starts to become more interesting.
Okay, so what's a typical session like in final year?
Well, this year I've had only a few students because it's the first year the module's run. So they've tended to take a one-on-one focused on individual projects because everyone's doing something different. There are no two projects alike, and it's been about what have you done during the week, how is it developing, how is the research shaping the project, how is your user requirements shaping the project, how is the technical, so now currently we're in the technical phase, development phase, so now it's how is the code developing, optimization, usability, intuitive use, things like that. So but it's a 2-hour session and it's just a student to student individual thing. There are some lectures focus on things like research and how we research the things we're going to build and how we then do user requirements analysis and things like that.
So what type of projects do they make? So what's the general thing that a student will do?
I think the best, because this is the first year it's run, I think if I tell you the 4 projects that are being run this year, it'll give you a good idea. Although it can go much further afield. Different ideas. So the examples I wrote down here. Niagara Tools for Noobs is what I've written. That's not the title of Reese's project. But that is Niagara is the new particle system that's replacing Cascade, but it's quite complex in the sense of there's a boatload of stuff in it. So the project here is to create a simplified beginner's interface to Niagara, but with a little flip switch to turn it into expert mode and open up more stuff. And there'll be things like templates and stuff. So it's kind of making a Cascade version of Niagara, at least in the short term, just for people to get used to the complexity of Niagara. Another example, a student working on some networking tools. So if you wanted to make a multiplayer game in Unreal and you wanted people to control it from their phones, that could be multiplayer card-based games. Imagine something like poker where you've got your hand on your mobile phone that no one else can see, and then the table is in UE4 or other multiplayer type scenarios. So there's a set of networking tools being written. A subtitling system. So subtitling is quite challenging in UE4. So we've got one of the projects is about writing a easy to use, flexible subtitling system that can effectively just be plugged in. And then the final of the 4 this year is a dungeon builder system. So not just a straightforward A to B dungeon building system, but with rooms and complexity within the rooms, not bending back on itself, and lots and lots of. It's relatively easy to just build a simple dungeon A to B with some randomization, but with lots of cool restrictions and procedural elements to it.
Okay.
So those are the 4 running this year. Other options could be anything from terrain generation systems to foliage type systems to AI systems, things that you would see on the marketplace for the UE4 marketplace or the Unity marketplace. Those kinds of things,
okay.
I think, are what.
What are the limits to what someone can make? How is it being assessed?
So assessment it takes a few different parts, or it will change this year actually. So currently, it's the product itself. There is a development log or journal, if you will. I think we call it research journal to match with the team project and things like that. And then a 2,000-word report. Now, I think I'm going to probably make some changes to that to increase the weighting of the product slightly and decrease the weighting of the journal slightly. I think the journal isn't playing as big a role as I would hope, or had hoped. There are a couple of other changes actually to it. So the research played a huge part of the first semester, researching all around it, but I think that needs to shrink a bit. So we're going to shrink the research a little bit. Then there's going to be an increase in the product specification for users, and then the actual development time will increase as well, because development time has been relatively small. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, so roughly when do they submit?
Right at the end, all 100% at the end, but there are formative submissions as they go. So at the end of semester 1, there's a formative submission, which is the research and the product spec, and then that's it really up until the end. But because it's one-to-one every week it's where are you at, where's the progress. So I'm trying to stay on top of making sure everyone is progressing every week. So although it is 100% at the end, you cannot just wait till the end, because you'll just miss too much. So yeah, they're formative submissions.
Okay. Some of the questions that are sort of popping up as we've been discussing, things like, it sounds very techy, and it might scare off certain students if it sounds quite programmer heavy. I'll put programmer heavy in quotes. Would it be suitable for someone who's a little bit more of an artist that wants to demonstrate something like VFX or anything like that?
Oh, VFX would be a good example. Yeah, something. What we're looking for is some experimental prototyping wizardry, if you will. That's the simplified version, I think. So yeah, if it's a VFX like the Niagara one, although it's a set of tools, it's really about templating the VFX stuff that then links into Niagara. So yeah, somebody who is quite VFX heavy, somebody who is looking to do some interesting material work, that could work.
So what if someone's interested in like substance designer? That
could work, yeah. So, but it's not just make an interesting material. So it's not like in Advanced 3D or Advanced Viz where you just make an asset that looks really good. I think it has to be make an asset that does something. A prototype tool, like a plugin, like a terrain generator, like a networking tool. So if it was like substancy, designery, then I think it would have to then show, there would have to be something interesting about that. Maybe a set of prototyping tools to allow you to make, let's say, dirt or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
so
I mean, even it could even be going out into something like MaxScript or JavaScripting for Photoshop. Anything prototypey.
Okay, so it's not just for those that are like virgin on programmers. It can be for those that just want to not be pure artists, but be a bit more of a experimental techie artist.
Yeah, I mean the dungeon crawler one, Dungeon Builder, that's been written. Well, actually, all of them have been written in Blueprint. There's no C++ here, no code, as it were, no written code, typed code. It's all Blueprint. So
okay, good. So hopefully that gives students a better idea about what the module's about, and whether they feel it would be appropriate for their choice or not.
Cool.